now to the point where we want to go into the next phase, which is to build a performing arts center, art recreation hall, that kind of thing, renovate the existing facility. So the 1st of November, it was obvious I couldn't continue doing all the scheduling and scheduling the salting of the parking lot while I was trying to build a performing arts center. So the board decided to bring on Gail Grieger as our executive director. Gail's been on since the 1st of November. She's a Michigan bar attorney, very accomplished businesswoman, ran a business in here for the course of the last year, Z-Spot Fitness, and so we tagged her to take over as executive director a couple of months ago. You'll be hearing from Gail here in a few minutes as well. Also tonight presenting is Mark Malcolm. Mark and Patty were really the money behind buying the school, major supporter and sponsor on our board of directors. Mark's just done a fabulous job in supporting this effort. So you'll be hearing from him as well. For those, Dan, you can can we shut the overheads off and the stage lights? We're going to need, okay, you can shut off the, yeah, there we go. PARC's a 501c3, nonprofit public charity, grassroots organization. This is not the city, it's not the township, it's not any governing body. It is really community rooted, people from the community. Comprised a collaborative team of community leaders, nonprofits, and residents with the purpose to continue the use of the green space. Here we have 16.5 acres. Repurpose Central Middle School into an arts, recreation, and education center, and to construct a new performing arts center and art exhibition hall. And this slide hasn't changed in 3.5 years, so we're still on track. I don't see anything up there I would change. The timeline for this, in November of 2013, Plymouth Canton Community Schools passed a resolution and said, okay, it sounds like these folks are kind of serious. They passed a resolution, said we would like to see Central Middle School continue to serve the community, and we'll give PARC 1 year to put a deal together to sell it to us for fair market value. In February 2015, entered into a purchase agreement between the Malcolms and the school district to purchase it. Closed that in June of 15. We opened up for business on August 1st of 2015. I'm going to let Gail now talk to you a little bit about the facility, the tenants that are here, the things that are going on here, and she can share with you what's going on now, and then I'll come on later and talk about the future plans, okay?
Thank you, Don, and thank you all for coming out tonight and to see what's new and exciting at PARC. If you haven't been here for a while, there's a lot of activity going on in the building all the time. So you're sitting in the PARC Theater right now. We have 350 seats available. This is used by our theater groups, musical groups, the Michigan Philharmonic. On the other side of the building, if you took a tour, you saw the PARC Playhouse, where there's also 220 seats available. We have the swimming pool, the gymnasium, and outside we have the athletic fields, football, baseball, soccer fields, running track, tennis courts, and the locker rooms. We also have music studios, art studios, theater set and costume design storage, a pottery studio, fitness and dance studio, senior social rooms, meeting conference rooms, kitchen facilities, cooking class facilities, and offices for 19 arts and recreation organizations. So this place is hopping. So here's some examples of the things that are going on in the building on any given day. This is the Michigan Philharmonic Youth Orchestra. They rehearse here. This is one of their performances right here in this room. This is a production by one of our theater groups. Here you see the Michigan Phil Youth Orchestra practicing. They're practiced down in the Playhouse every Tuesday night. They have over 100 kids in the orchestra. This is one of the music rooms, also for music practice. The conference room across the hall here that gets quite a bit of use. Our gymnasium, which has 2 full-size basketball courts in it, and has lots of frequent users. And the pool that was spruced up last year over Christmas of 2015, and the beautiful murals were added. And outdoors, we have the football field. We've totally renovated with 7,000 tons of yards? Yards, not tons? Okay, yards, not tons. I don't know my sod, of new sod last year. So it's in great shape. And 6 tennis courts that also get a lot of use. So you'll see who's in at PARC. who has offices on the left. These are our permanent tenants that rent office space. And I want to add that all of these tenants have totally renovated their space themselves at no expense to Park. We have the Michigan Philharmonic and the Youth Orchestra, Z-Spot Fitness, which I'm rather fond of, Forever After Productions, Main Street Opera Theater, Central Park Art Studio, Pottery Studio, the Plymouth Canton Cruisers, Swim Team, and 3 of our newest additions are the Simple Kitchen, which is across the hall and helped provide some of the delicious refreshments that we had tonight. Proud Mitten Shared Kitchen, which rented the commercial kitchen, and Tony Rocco, who's a visual artist who will be moving in a couple of months. And the rest of them go on down the line, and you can read that for yourself. Frequent user groups, they use the facilities frequently, but they don't necessarily have permanent offices here. So Better Than Ever Productions, the Plymouth Canton Steelers football, Plymouth Canton Cruisers swim team, Our Lady of Good Counsel Sports, and on and on. It's very popular. We could rent the gym out 3 times over. We have a waiting list of frequent users for the gym. So as far as occupancy goes, people are wondering what's happening here, how full is it, what space is left. 80% of the 160,000 square feet is occupied or used right now. So we're really happy with that. 37 of the 62 rooms are occupied at a 60% occupancy rate. On the first floor, we have 22 of the 23 rooms occupied, and we have plans in the works for the 23rd room for a shared space for artists to work in that we're very excited about. On the second floor, 15 of the 24 rooms are occupied, and the third floor, which is presently closed, there are 16 rooms that will be available, we anticipate, the third quarter of this year. So these are examples of some of the tenant spaces, and you can see the upgrades that they've made. This is the Michigan Philharmonic's offices and rooms. They did a beautiful job there. Forever After, this is their office, and they have practice space in there. They also have costume shops and build sets, and they use this theater quite frequently. So this is the Pottery Studio and the pool, which we have our own park aquatic program, swim lessons, open swim, fitness classes, as well as it's used by the cruisers. And recently we added pickleball, which has been very popular. We had to add another day and another court. And here are some of the class of 1966 that come and play with us on a regular basis. All graduated from school here, or most of them. Fitness classes that go on in the Park Playhouse as well as in the studio. And then one of our, like I said, one of their newest tenants, the Simple Kitchen. They teach cooking classes, culinary arts, do grab-and-go meals, and a whole lot of other things, and did a really beautiful job renovating and finishing the renovations to the former home economics. And then the Proud Mitten Shared Kitchen was in the old commercial kitchen, which again, totally upgraded all themselves. Newest visual artist, this is artwork by Tony Rocco, and we're very excited for him to come on board and bring his special brand of visual arts to Park. This is the Plymouth Rotary, the AM Rotary's room, and this is also used as social space by our senior groups. So our short-term plan is to continue to operate the existing facility, continue to add tenants and user groups, continue to gather community input from people just like you. We want your input. We want your feedback. What do you want Park to be? And we need that from you, so please be vocal about that. We want to add programs as are appropriate, and we want to make modest improvements to the fields and the facility as our resources permit. So we're very excited about other opportunities and considerations that we have in the works here. We're always thinking ahead. We recently held our first indoor winter artisan market, and if any of you were here, you knew how phenomenal that was. That was during Ice Festival just a couple of weeks ago. We hope to continue that and to promote our local artisans from the area. They provided all the snacks and refreshments tonight, so a big shout out for them. Thank you very much to everyone who donated. Some of these things are things that we're considering. We don't necessarily have plans for them right now, but we'd love to see some indoor or outdoor concerts. We want to expand our senior programs, which currently now include water fitness, other types of group fitness classes. We have social walking in the hallways, and as I mentioned, we added pickleball, and we want to continue to expand those programs for our seniors. We're considering adding art exhibitions, athletic competitions. We want to expand our fitness and wellness programs. We hosted a Buddy Up Fitness Challenge for the first time, brought it to Plymouth last year. It was very successful. We had over 120 people participate and experienced amazing results with that. We want to bring summer music festivals, speaker and writers series, as well as summer film and screenplay camp. And we are also in the works. We have a project for the Plymouth High School Museum, started with seed money, very generously donated by the class of 1966 at their reunion last summer. And we had to have a meeting happening tomorrow to bring that project forward. So now I'd like to introduce Mark Malcolm, who's going to talk to you about his vision for PARC's future. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Gail. Good evening. Thanks to everybody for taking the time to learn more about what's going on here and our game plan. I've just discovered my first thing for the evening. The good news is you can see the slides. The bad news is I can't see my notes. So if you bear with me for a second. When in doubt.
Throw a light. Dan, why don't you throw the lights on, the stage lights on? There you go.
Thank you.
See them now?
I can. Thanks. For this evening's prepared remarks, I'll try to level set everyone on why Patty and I got involved and also share our vision of success for PARC and the Plymouth community. Then I'll be happy to respond to anything else on your mind during the Q&A session. There were two key reasons why Patty and I got involved. First, we believe the demolition of this iconic building and its replacement with a massive new subdivision would have devastatingly altered and forever diminished the character and the feel of our community. And second, the concept of this site becoming a high-caliber arts and recreation complex struck us as a brilliant value-add proposition for Plymouth. Unfortunately, the township administration back then had its own agenda, which essentially was intended to block PARC and leave developers as the only prospective buyers for the property. That's when Patty and I proposed to Don that we would be willing to secure the property for PARC. This slide shows that the first step in securing the property is for Patty and me to buy it from the school board. To date, we have paid $2.3 million, and there is another $1 million to be paid to total the $3.3 million purchase price. The school board technically continues to own the property until the purchase is completed. Until that time, our agreement with the school board allows PARC to lease the property for $1 a year. By the time we complete the purchase from the school board, the plan for PARC hopefully will be completed and funded, and we will then transfer ownership of the property to PARC. Step 2 on the slide shows that the present plan is for us to sell to PARC for $800,000, with the difference versus what we pay for the property representing our contribution to PARC of $2.5 million. The potential column on the right side of step 2 is a friendly challenge that we're putting out tonight for the first time. That is, we are prepared to sell the property to PARC for just $1 if anyone else in the community also pledges a contribution of $3.3 million. Enough numbers, and I'm sorry to have gone through that many. Don had advised us that false rumors have been spread by some that Patty and I are somehow set to profit from PARC. So let's please kill that nonsense right here and right now. And let's move on to discuss our vision for success. The vision is not the details, but it's important in driving the thinking and eventual details that will turn the project into an exciting reality. This evening, we'll have to use our imaginations on how the vision will take shape, but I hope we can nonetheless tease and excite you a bit on the direction and can help provide context for the details to be developed and discussed in future meetings. I'll cover 5 elements of our vision. First is to preserve and repurpose the historic and useful parts of the old Plymouth High and Central Middle School. To fully appreciate great old buildings, the building needs to be alive with usage and activity. That means that some smart and sensitive updating is needed, but it will be oh so worth it. Parts of this building are approaching their 100th birthday, with the new parts the gym and pool turning 65 this year. For what I hope and expect will be a reasonably modest rehab investment, we'll be well on the way to another 100 years. They simply don't build them like this anymore. In addition to functional comfort improvements, the building is going to return closer to its original, much more appealing aesthetic look and feel. For example, here's how the building looks today. I'm told that the window openings were filled in the early 70s as an energy conservation measure. I don't know about you, but I'm skeptical that there was a level of real savings to ever justify this much ugly. Here is an old photocopy of the original building. We won't have double-hung windows with lead weights, but we'll have new windows that should look more like this. As important as the aesthetic improvement will be to the building's exterior, can you imagine how much natural light will pour inside, adding to the feeling of energy and life? In addition to new windows, we need to modernize the heating and cooling. The present boiler system, which does heat only, is housed in a below-grade room that could have been featured on the old TV show, Scariest Places on Earth. Fortunately, we'll be able to decommission the boiler and replace it with state-of-the-art, efficient, and affordable mini split systems that have the feasibility to handle both heating and cooling on a room-by-room basis. Other building upgrades we plan to investigate include removing the drop ceilings and restoring the original 12-foot ceiling height throughout the building. 12-foot ceiling height. That could be another wow factor. If the drop ceilings go, the fluorescent lights go, may be replaced by reproduction schoolhouse fixtures with LED bulbs. There are wood floors in the classrooms. We want to see how well and at what cost we could restore and refinish them. Most of the old hallways have terrazzo floors. That's a forever material, and we'll check to see if they can be cost-effectively cleaned, polished, and selectively patched to approximate their original glory. We have designated one model classroom where we plan to do all of these things as a test case in the first half of this year, so that we can get a good handle on the overall cost to do the entire building, so that we can tweak things that don't come out right or cost too much, and also so that you can get a real-world example of what the whole building can look like. We also have a sample bathroom remodel in progress by the back entrance that you can see on your way out if you haven't seen it yet. The second element of the vision is the addition of a performing and visual arts center. As much as we're pleased by the progress made so far in the existing building and our vision to make it much better, this building has fatal limitations in terms of performance seating and most likely the display of visual arts. Having the Michigan Philharmonic as a tenant in waiting is an incredible blessing and leg up for a new performing arts center. But as good as that is, I expect a performing and visual arts center to provide so much more. It will elevate what we can and should aspire to achieve in terms of capability and growth in the creative arts. I anticipate a virtuous cycle over time where we attract continuously more capable performers and instructors who will be attracted to the capabilities and opportunities to improve and grow at PARC. This, in turn, will provide more exposure and opportunities for our youth, our teens, our young adults, for middle-aged and seniors, for entertainment options, as well as participation. Entertainment by the Philharmonic and other local groups and artists, and given Plymouth's location right in the middle of the triangle between Detroit, Ann Arbor, and Birmingham Bloomfield, I bet we'll also attract good regional and national performers who frequent those venues. This school by itself can be a good thing. A performing and visual arts center by itself can also be a good thing. Put together smartly and integrated into an arts and recreation complex on this site would make each significantly better than it would be on its own. 1 + 1 can most definitely equal 3. A think it's safe to say that the fun part of a vision is imagining the wonderful new things that can be created by spending money. Truth is, the visions don't become a successful reality without an equally passionate focus on cost. By way of personal background, I retired at the end of 2016 in my 40th year in the auto industry. 40 years in auto may qualify me as certifiably insane. But it also means I've had rigorous training in managing cost. In fact, most of my experience was in financial roles at Ford, which led to the opportunity to serve for the past 9 years as CEO of a global auto supplier with public shareholders that traded successfully on the New York Stock Exchange. So it's not a stretch to say that our planned financial contribution to PARC is a direct result of having delivered visions at affordable cost. In addition, Don is a highly successful businessman, and we have fellow PARC board members with expertise in tracking and managing costs. Together, we will work to deliver our vision at the lowest possible upfront investment cost for windows, heating and cooling, performing and visual arts center, parking, everything. There actually are two aspects of managing affordable cost. One is the upfront investment, just discussed, and the other is breaking even on the annual operations. That is, avoiding ongoing negative cash flow that would require annual subsidies. Like the rest of our vision, we've set an appropriately high standard for success on this, especially relative to typical community centers, which most often do not generate enough revenue to cover their operating expenses. We've recognized this challenge from the get-go and put in place a fundamentally different and better business model. Thinking about it from a high level, we are providing great facilities, resources, and co-location opportunities that attract tenants who pay PARC rent, plus users who pay to use the pool, the gym, the football field, or to rent rooms for activities. 3 stories of classrooms is a tremendous asset and business advantage that other facilities simply don't have. Tenants bring in additional cash rent while requiring very little additional cost from PARC. We're already making good progress on this front, and that's before the building receives the major planned improvements. It's too early to declare success, but we're cautiously optimistic that we will be able to develop a credible plan to break even on PARC's annual operations. In addition to keeping down the investment cost and breaking even on annual operations, the final piece of our planned business equation is to maximize private funding in order to minimize taxpayer funding. The private fundraising campaign will begin in earnest later this year as we develop more project details. So if anyone wishes to pledge financial support before then, please feel free to contact me anytime. Any size donation will help. We will provide opportunities for naming rights for various parts of the complex in return for major contributions, to provide appropriate lifetime recognition for contributions that will help enhance our community for generations to come. I'll conclude my prepared remarks with 2 quotes from the president, who is widely acclaimed for recognizing the importance of the arts and recreation to the quality and fabric of life. Regarding the arts, John Kennedy said, "I see little of more importance to the future of our country and of civilization than full recognition of the place of the artist. If art is to nourish the roots of our culture, society must set the artist free to follow his or her vision." Kennedy's quote on recreation: "Physical fitness is not only one of the most important keys to a healthy body, it is the basis of dynamic and creative intellectual activity." With what already exists here, plus what is attainable with the community's support, the Plymouth Arts and Recreation Complex can become a value-added asset with the scope and quality that is unprecedented and superior to anything in this region. It is rare for circumstances and actions to present such an opportunity, not only benefiting ourselves, but leaving a lasting legacy for the benefit of those who follow. As CEO at Tower, I would close every presentation to colleagues with the same 3 words: which were intended to set and maintain the right attitude. I think the same attitude can apply here. So when it comes to PARC, let's refuse to lose. Thank you for your patience and attention, and I'll turn it over to Don.
Well, let me tell you, he's the kind of guy I like working with every day. Real visionary, he backs it up. You know, they did Westbourne Market too. Mark and Patty bought that as a post office, and those of you that have been there, they just did a fantastic job in that place as well. And I think but it speaks to the quality of the people in this community that will step forth and do that. I remember the first meeting I had with the Malcolms. I got a call from the mayor, and he said, hey, you know, I got somebody here I think you ought to meet. And we were kicking around this buying Central Middle School thing. And so he says, I want you to meet the Malcolms. And I had kind of heard of them. I didn't really know them very well. So we go over there for coffee at 7 o'clock in the morning. By 7:15, I walked out of there. And he said, well, you know, we're really intrigued by that project, and we're willing to write the check. And I'm thinking, well, okay, what check are we talking about here, you know? We hadn't even negotiated a deal yet. And I made some mention, well, you know, maybe I could split it with you or fine. He said, no, we'll take care of it. No need. We'll need other money later. 7:15, I walked out of there. We had all the money for the project. Now the pressure's really on. Now you got to do something, right? He did tell me, though, don't let me write that check and you bail out on me, so. We need to desperately renovate this facility. The status quo is not an option. You look around, a tremendous amount of improvements been made over the last year and a half. We got a lot of that credit has to go to our tenants who have been putting money into these facilities. But long term, I don't dare show you what's down below us. You'd be running out that door at a high rate of speed. Let me tell you, it is scary down there. That has got the infrastructure here has got to be replaced. So if anybody's got the idea, oh, why don't we just let it go the way it is, looks pretty good. That's not an option, folks. It's really not. We don't have a choice. We got to replace the heating system. We got those old steam boilers down there. You look down there and say, oh my God, did they ever heat places like this with that kind of stuff? It just doesn't work. Replacing the windows, you saw that, I suppose. It's not something that has to be done, but let me tell you, it's ugly. I mean, this place is ugly. We got to fix that. Renovating all the interiors. We got a room right across the hall here that's being renovated. You'll be able to come back here in a couple, 3 months and see what the rooms are going to look like when we're all done. Getting new heating system, new windows, floors, ceilings. It's going to look just like the rest of the rooms in this building. We want you to be able to see what it's going to look like when it's all done. And Mark mentioned the restroom down the hall. That's also a sample of the kind of things we want to do. We're going to renovate the pool and the locker rooms. We've done a lot of work already cosmetically, but down below, pumps, filters, plumbing, got to go. Got to be replaced. And upgrade the athletic fields and the gym. And we really want to add an 800-seat performing arts center. And I think we can really make that work. We got to demonstrate that to you, but I really believe we can do that. And we want some art exhibition space. We can really make this facility the focal point for the arts in this region, not just in this community, but in this region. So the design considerations, as we look at what we have, where we want to go, what do we need to be concerned with? We want to preserve and obviously renovate the entire facility now. If you saw the proposals earlier on a couple years ago, we were talking about tearing down the pool, tearing down the gym, the warehouse space, building new. We don't need to do that. I'll tell you what, the more we get in there, the more convinced we are the pool, the gym, the warehouse space, that stuff we're saving. You want $3.5 million for a new pool, we can fix that place up for 250, 300 grand, make a really nice pool. So it just doesn't make economic sense. And the good news is typically you find the costs keep just going through the roof. The things we're looking at, I think, are really going to be able to stabilize them, even reduce the cost of the project from what we originally thought. And let me tell you, all the nonsense during that election, numbers they were tossing around, 40 million, 60 million, 100 million, I mean, that was just crazy stuff, right? We're not talking anything like that. We need to provide adequate parking and traffic flow. I mean, particularly in Plymouth, this is a very sensitive subject. We have 16.5 acres of real estate. Let me tell you, we can provide more than adequate parking for anything we'd ever want to do here. We may have to make some compromises, we've got to give some things up, but we have the real estate to work with. We need to be sensitive to the existing tenants. We've got the entire first floor occupied, most of the second floor. By the time we get to that stage, we'll probably have this entire building occupied. We got to make sure that we have plans for our renovation, that we don't totally disrupt our tenants' activities. So we got to factor that into how we go through this process, and also what their future needs are going to be as well. And then, as Mark said, we got to really closely manage the costs. These things can get totally out of hand. I've built factories, run businesses, Mark has, Ted Barker's here, he owns Shaw Construction. We got people on this that know how to get things done, get facilities built, manage costs, have a lot of experience doing those kinds of things. So I'm very confident that we can really, really get a good job done in managing the costs. So going forward, we're first quarter now of 2017. We need to determine user needs and the commitments. We got to get commitments out of people and say, look, you know, if we build this thing, you're going to use it and you're going to rent it, and this is what you're willing to pay for it. So we're working on those things now. We need to conduct a community survey. The township did one recently, but it was pretty limited in scope. We're having conversations with the city and township somewhere, maybe in the end of the first quarter, into the second quarter. Hopefully we can get another community survey to really assess what the entire community, one, Plymouth needs, and then see what role Park might play in that overall plan. Park's not an island. We are part of an entire community arts and recreation plan, and we need to find out what's our proper role in that. We need to develop the design concept. We've been kicking around some very good ideas. Stan Collier from Newman Smith is here tonight. They've just been fabulous in offering up a variety of alternatives, and we're going through those alternatives now. It's a little bit early yet to be sharing that with all of you. We got to make sure, you know, we got to understand the costs involved, positioning on the site, but we got some very, very attractive alternatives on how we can develop this site and incorporating that performing arts center. We need to establish a construction cost, and that's part of this whole process, and then obviously the operating costs too. And we got a pretty good handle on that now. And the operating costs, we know what this place costs to run. We're real close to break even. We'll probably break that break even mark this year. You know, we know what to do with it. So it really helps in some respects. It was a blessing in disguise because now we have the benefit of a year and a half of experience in running this place. We got a pretty good idea what it's going to take us to do it going forward. In the second quarter, and we're talking April through June, we need to develop the formal business case. Now we need the information from the first quarter. But we need to know what's the revenue going to be, what's the cost going to be, what's the staffing required to do this, you know, how much commitment do we get from the various users to make sure financially there's a business case here that makes sense. Second thing is to conduct an economic impact study. What's this going to do to property values? What's it going to do to the tax base? What's it going to do to employment? What does it do to a whole variety? What does it do for the businesses in the community? There's firms that do this. We've already secured the firms to do the business case, to do the economic impact study. They are top-notch, first in their business, and doing this kind of work. We're not skipping any on this. You're not going to just hear it from me or hear it from Mark or anybody else. You're going to hear it from professional people when they come in here with a lot of experience in doing these kinds of things. We're going to be doing probably forums like this quarterly. As we move forward now, there's going to be a lot of information we're going to want to share with the community now that we're rolling into this phase. Third and fourth quarter, Mark touched on this, second half of the year, massive, aggressive, private funding, grant foundation activity to raise funds for this phase. I don't know how much we can do. We can do a fair bit, but I don't know how much we can raise. But we're going to give it a downtown effort to raise as much of that before we ever go to the taxpayers and ask for support. We need to implement a very aggressive community information campaign, keep the entire community informed of what's going on. And the other thing is we need to, and I missed it up on the second quarter, but this governance initiatives. Who's going to operate this thing? It's not a city project. It's not a township project. The library is an authority where you form a new entity. Should it be a private-public partnership? There are a number of different ways that we could structure this deal, and we really need to, with all the interested parties, air that out in the second quarter, and by the end of the year, we got to decide what that's going to be. 2018 seems like a long way away, but let me tell you, from where I sit, it's right around the corner. A lot of work between now and then, but in the first quarter, there will be a lot of campaign to support a millage if we need one. It's going to depend on how successful we are with the private funding, but I got to tell you, in my mind, it's going to be very, very, very difficult to ever do this with private funding. We're probably going to have to end up going out for a millage. And probably about somewhere around May of 2018, spring of 18 is time frame. All of this can move. This is not cast in concrete. Depends a lot on how the other things go, but I'm just kind of sharing with you our thoughts at this point when we think is the right timetable. And then the end of 18, we got to, if we get the, you get all the funding, I'm assuming by that point all the funding's in place, then you go for a complete detailed design, secure all the approvals, building permits, construction drawings, construction bids, and at that point we would also start the renovation on this building, which could start earlier than the construction of the new facility, because a lot more engineering work needs to be done on the construction of the new facility, but we would move into renovation in this place in the latter half of 2018. And then in 19, really go full tilt ahead and renovate this facility, finalize the design on the theater, and in 2020 do the construction on the new theater. You know, a few years ago, it's about 7, 8 years ago, I can't believe how long it's been, but you know, the Penn Theater was 2 weeks away from the wrecking ball. And the community stepped up and saved that, and any of you who have been in that theater lately and you see what they've done to that place and what it's done for the community and downtown and Kellogg Park and the businesses, that was a huge success, huge. And there were so many at that time that said, oh, Don, you're wasting your time, you know, that old theater, just tear it down, let's just build some retail and, you know, forget it. Its days are over, forget about it. I can't even imagine downtown Plymouth without the Penn Theater right now. So, can we do the same thing here? And what do you think? Yeah. There's a little problem. There's a couple more zeros on this one. But you know, I think when you see the emotional attachment in this community to the high school, to the Penn Theater, to facilities like this, the means are here. We can do this project. I don't have any doubt about it. If I didn't think so, I wouldn't be wasting my time on it. We can do it. The resources are here. We really need to come together, and I sense it every day. People, they went to school here, met my spouse there. I played football here. So, you know, there's a lot of emotional attachment to the facility. We tap into that, and I think we pull together on this, we can get it done.